I wouldn't have done that for $10, but you do you. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, who's got the $10?
Yeah, I guess you've got the $10.
I mean, when you're at the state fair.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Exactly.
Oh, all right. Live here on Dirty Mo Live. Happy Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday.
It is.
I keep forgetting.
Like it
Normally
is.
we do this on Tuesday. It's the download recap show, but we can actually freely speak about what happened on the download, which is exciting this time around. Andrew Curlin here with Travis the Rock Rockhold, Dalton the Gecko Greco.
Nice, man. That
Yeah.
was part of my gamer tag.
Was it really?
Yeah, I used to get called the Gecko, Geico, whatever.
Yeah,
all the
I bet
time.
because he was built in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long road, but
Yeah.
thanks for bringing it up.
Did you ever have the nickname The Rock, Travis?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
You're
You
Not
just
not
kinda-
the Rock, but Rock, Rocky, Little Rock, Pebbles.
Pebbles.
Yeah, because my dad my grandpa was
good.
like Big Rock and Little Rock, and so yeah, so I've been called Pebbles.
Dang.
Yeah,
Pebbles. I'm gonna call you Pebbles
Yeah.
from now on.
all sorts of nicknames.
Good deal. My last name being Curland. I was always called Curly. That was about it. Even though I
Curly.
didn't have curly hair, I had a buzz cut, so it didn't really work.
Yeah. No.
It's amazing the nicknames people come up with.
Tons of them.
I'm sure people don't care about this. We've got plenty to talk about today on Dirty Mo Live. First, we had some eventful shows this week. As always, DBC tapes on Monday. A great show. They had a lot of good feedback about Talladega Super Speedway. I think a video coming out soon, I think, is going to be
Yep, it'll be later today.
later today. A conversation about how is super speedway racing too predictable. And I thought that's interesting. You look at a track like Daytona Talladega, you never really think that it's predictable, but Brett and Freddie and TJ, they bring up some good points there. So I thought that was interesting.
Yep.
Hold on a second before we keep going. What do you got on your phone over there?
What do I have on my phone? I have my notes.
No. Let me see your phone.
My phone? It's just like that. Just like that.
What was
Yeah.
playing on it?
Listen, there's a I'm just monitoring the score of a very important Premier League match now. That's it. That's all I'm
Very
doing.
important.
I have everyone
Do you?
here's undivided attention.
All right,
All right?
just making sure.
Good.
I don't think
Anyways.
I don't think you're paying attention to us.
Yeah, I haven't heard a word you said actually thus far.
I told you everything that Denny talked about, and you missed it.
Yeah? All right. Well,
why
why
don't
don't
you
you tell
recap?
me
No,
again?
uh,
Producer of Actions Detrimental, by the way, Travis, the
and
Rock
Dirty-
Rockhold,
and Dirty Modo.
and Dirty Modo. That's right.
We talked about a bunch of different things. The good drivers meeting with NASCAR and the Goodyear tires. Corey LaJoie's comments that apparently were different than Denny Hamlin's comments about hitting drivers. And then Denny had what I think is an amazing idea that we're going to get into here in a little bit.
We will. I want to say this real quick about Actions Detrimental. I caught up on it on my drive home yesterday, and I will say, Denny is so informative. I learned probably 2 or 3 things that I had never known about the sport before. And Denny just painted it out, whether it, the tire conversation I thought was fascinating, especially of how of how the tires wear differently when rubber is on the racetrack versus when it's not. I never knew that, never considered that. It's very interesting to listen to if you haven't listened to that yet. And then when he was explaining the Richard Childress Racing penalties, I thought that was fascinating, especially how he would explain how Joe Gibbs Racing in the past would try and find advantages in similar ways that the 3-car might have been penalized for this past week. I thought that was fascinating for him to be honest, transparent about that. So
It's the benefit of having a current Cup driver
Yeah.
on a podcast. You get to see into what no one has.
Yeah.
So
And an owner.
and an owner, yeah. But it's I listened to it too, and I thought the same thing. I was like, you're getting so much insight. Like it almost feels like illegal. Like I feel like I should be paying for
I know.
this. And no, Denny's awesome, man. His show's really great.
And what's interesting about and I know we're going to get to Denny's $1 million idea here in a second, but we talk about innovation a lot. I know Dale likes to bring that up with guests, and I think that is one of the most fascinating parts of the show.
My favorite.
And for Denny to explain, because there's often, a grace period where you can't really talk about the current state of cheating. All the cheating stories we hear are from 15, 20 years ago. But Denny to say, and obviously with the next gen car, everything's so different. You can kind of open up to how things used to be with the old car. But for him to explain not too long ago what teams were doing, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah. I think that's a part of the sport. Even though it's like cheating, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah,
Absolutely fascinating.
it's you
It's
know,
part of the fun.
I think the way that Dale and Mike describe it as innovation and
Exactly.
creativity is the right way to do it. You know, what other sport is there where you can have that much leeway with, making a car faster? You can't like sprint faster unless you're doing like steroids or something,
Yeah,
and like that's
yeah.
just not beneficial. But no, I love all those stories. Tony Furr's stories. If you haven't watched those videos yet,
Yeah.
please go watch them. They are so good, and all the nitrous and fuel cells, and the stories like even comparing it to like Days of Thunder when Harry Hyde was like, I'm gonna give you cut you a inch lower than the rest and shape you like a bullet. Like,
Yeah.
it's all real. It's all real. It's not just in the movies. It's all real. And that's the coolest part.
I
So.
love that. All right. So Denny Hamlin has $1 million idea.
Couple million.
Couple million.
3 million. I got
3
corrected.
million.
I got corrected on Twitter about that.
Oh,
and
really?
so
I saw it when you posted. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know people are gonna correct
it's
it.
million, multi-million.
Yeah,
Well,
it's-
it covers.
Calm
it.
down, people.
Yeah, it'll be all right. But yeah, $3 million.
So, do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead and
Explain
tee
it
it
with
up.
So he has this idea to help boost the ratings. It's his thing. His thing is that they should be kicking ass in the ratings in the summertime. Once NBA goes away, you really have baseball, a little bit of golf. That's kind of it. And so he said a 5-week tournament, 32 drivers make it in. You have the first 10 weeks to qualify. Top 32 drivers in points qualify. Single elimination. So the first week there'll be 16 head-to-head matchups. The number 1 driver versus 32, the number 2 driver versus number 31, so on and so forth. After the first week, you're down to 16. Then the next week you match up again head-to-head, 8, 4, 2, and then you have your winner. This should help boost ratings. You think about all the different matchups that now Fox or NBC have to talk about.
Yeah.
You also have, week 9, the discussion of who's going to make it in. So now you're talking about some of those drivers at the bottom.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. Like the bubble drivers, like the race for 32nd, all
Right.
of
Yeah.
a sudden becomes interesting.
You have teams now can go to sponsors and say, hey, there's this 5-week period
Yeah.
where, you can sponsor the car and there's going to be a little more, airtime for us. Like it
Yeah.
opens up
I
all
love
sorts
that.
of things.
I love this idea.
I think this is great.
And his thing is the winner gets, 3 million. Maybe you give some playoff points, and these races still, while this midseason tournament's going on, still count.
Yeah,
Mhm.
everything's
Nothing
normal.
changes from a NASCAR
Right.
standpoint. The races still count towards the playoffs and
Right.
everything.
Mhm.
And just to clarify, because I saw some questions on social media, single elimination does not mean that the driver does not race the next week.
It's just like the normal playoffs.
It's just a normal playoff
Yeah.
format. But it's just seeing who makes it further into the bracket.
almost
It's-
like a dash for cash for the Cup Series.
or the Winston No Bowl.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Same idea.
And
So-
then
Same
also you have
concept.
Vegas now. They have 16 matchups that
Yeah.
first week that they can put lines out for that people can gamble on.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different avenues.
Someone tagged FanDuel
Yeah.
on our post.
Really?
Yeah.
Any
I
of
was
those
like, hey.
FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, they can easily sponsor. Like you could sponsor this.
So, I guess the only problem I have with this, and it's the same conversation every year with the All-Star race. My dad and I have this argument all the time, and he's convinced me that as a race fan, I don't really care that a driver gets $1 million prize for an All-Star race.
Right.
That doesn't I don't know. It's the cash incentive. Sure, it's exciting. I think it's cool, but I don't know if it excites me as much as if there was something more at stake on the line.
Well,
And so this $3 million
you could argue
cash
that the
prize,
All-Star game, the All-Star race, actually needs more because it's been that number for a while now.
right? So, anyways, I'm getting to the fact that with $3 million, right? It's the winner gets $3 million of this alleged bracket challenge. This potential. That's what the number Denny threw
Yeah,
out.
he just threw that number out.
I think how cool would it be if you have a guy win the bracket challenge, hasn't won a race, and if you win the bracket challenge, you get a slot in the playoffs, and if you're already in the playoffs, then you get a playoff point bonus. There are season, there are playoff implications, bonuses that come from winning this mid-season tournament. What do you think of that?
I mean, I like that. I like incentivizing it more than just money. I agree with you. Like the All-Star race, why do I care when a driver gets $1 million? It's it kind of there is a little bit of like mystique to it, and you have the big check and all
Yeah,
that.
what are you
like
gonna do with the
I like
million?
the
I
money.
just feel like
Think about the money though. What that could
A
go
lot of people
for.
donate it. I've seen that in the past.
Yeah.
A lot of people have donated.
The money
it,
could
so.
go like, especially depending on, let's say, the first round. If you win, you get a smaller amount. Now you have some teams that are getting a little extra money that they wouldn't be getting. Like I think you need to have that monetary value in for the drivers.
Make it $1 million, 100 points, or 10 playoff.
oh
points.
man, 100
I
points.
mean, they took 100 from Hendrick.
Holy
and if
cow.
you make it all the way, like that's
or
at
a,
a
jet,
32.
a get out of jail penalty card.
Yeah,
that you
where
can
you get to
redeem
cheat
at any
one time.
you
Yeah.
get to cheat one time.
Something
Can you
like
imagine that one?
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
Either way, even if there is no points, there's nothing tied to it. The money would make the drivers want to race.
Yeah.
And that makes the product on the track better, and that makes sponsors want to get involved, and TV ratings go up. So Denny's idea is phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah. So if this tournament, and for our sake of being able to play along, follow along, we have the top 32 points. We put it in a bracket. Dalton, you tweeted it out earlier.
Before we get to what it would be this year,
Sure.
I went and had last year's bracket.
Oh,
and
it would be these races last year.
Yeah, and you would have
All right.
had Todd Gilliland beating Joey Logano in the first round, Ricky Stenhouse beating Blaney in the first round. You would have had DH versus Ross Chastain in the first round. In the second round, you would have had Briscoe, a 12 seed, beating Alex Bowman, a 5. Busher, 20, beating Bush, a 4. McDowell, a 23, making it all the way to the final 4.
What? McDowell would make it to the final 4?
The final 4 would have been Truex versus Briscoe, and 8 versus 12, and then a Bell 14 versus McDowell 23.
Holy cow.
Bell, the 12 seed, or the 14 seed, ended up winning.
All right. So, again, all the more reason to... It's kind of like March Madness.
Mhm.
Upsets are fun to watch.
And think about that.
And a guy like Michael McDowell all of a sudden gets a spotlight at what race would that be? That would be
I think
Darlington?
Yeah. No.
Charlotte, Coke
Yes.
600.
Well, that's like, and Denny said if last week was a playoff race, JJ Yeley would have beat. Like, think about these. Like, you never know what the regs. If it's a road course, all of a sudden an underdog driver becomes a favorite. Like,
Exactly. And then at the Coke 600, we're watching the Coke 600, but within that, there is a battle. Oh man, is McDowell going to make it to this championship round?
Right.
all of a
You
sudden,
know?
like that 15th place spot becomes a little more entertaining. You got 15 and 16, whoever those two drivers, whoever wins, and so you're not just focused on, who's winning the race.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and again, I think Dash for Cash is a brilliant idea because it's a race within the race.
Unless it's the Xfinity race where only one of those cars is still on the
Like,
track.
yeah,
at the end.
literally.
I know. Yeah,
This
that was kind of unlucky.
Also reminds me of the bounty that happened in the Truck Series a few years ago, where Kyle
Oh.
Busch was like winning every race, and so Kevin Harvick and Marcus Lemonis were like, "We'll give any current Cup driver, $100,000 if they go down and win." And Chase Elliott did it. Kyle Larson did it. There's a couple other people that went down. Denny Hamlin raced a truck. So it kind of reminds me of that. And if you I don't think that drivers need any more motivation to race, but money definitely helps.
Money
and,
talks.
And money talks. And I think the racing would be incredible.
we were talking about schedule.
Mhm.
Where in the schedule would the ideal, 4-race stretch, 5-race stretch?
Five race stretch. So
Yeah,
and
and I've got a schedule in front
I
of
did
me.
a little homework.
I'm gonna grab it.
If the NBA Finals goes to a Game 7, June 18th, which is an off
Mhm.
week for NASCAR to be their last one, the U.S. Open in golf ends up on June 18th. So in my mind, I think June 25th through the July 23rd are the 5 races.
And
so
so
it
that
should be
would be,
Nashville, Chicago, Atlanta, New Hampshire, Pocono.
I think that's pretty solid.
I think
stretch.
it's solid too.
You get one of everything.
it pretty
because
much
Two
is.
wild cards.
NBA's done. So you're done worrying about them. Golf, you don't have another major until July 20th to the 23rd. That's Open Championship. That's over in England too. So now time zone differences, you're not really dealing with that. Wimbledon, but that's over there too. So you're kind of
It's over the 4th of July.
helping
well.
yourself out.
Yeah. I love that idea.
Is Nashville? Do you know the length of Nashville?
I think it's a mile. I think it's a mile.
or it's
So,
like in between
someone
a
in the
mile,
chat
mile
tell
and a
us
half or something
if
like
it's a
that.
mile or
So
it's not. I don't think it's a mile.
The one problem that
Yeah,
we
but I don't think it's a mile. I think it's longer than that.
maybe
I
it
don't know.
is.
We'll find out.
Chat, tell us.
the one
Yeah.
problem that I think we all said is there's no super speedway in that 5
But
race.
Atlanta is a wild card
Yeah.
enough. Oh man, if you take this format to Atlanta, oh, it shakes some things up. All of a sudden, again, if Corey LaJoie advances out of your first round, then you could almost be like, well, he has a real shot of making it through to advancing through the Atlanta round, and all of a
Right.
sudden he's competing at New Hampshire for a round of 8 spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, what I love about this is it showcases the names that you might not be watching every weekend. And again, it's no longer a race for the front of the pack. It is mid-pack racing, which I think is interesting. Again, this is when I ask people, why are you a fan of F1? I feel like it's whoever starts on pole ends up winning the race, and you could say I'm wrong for that.
No, you're right.
But they tell
Yeah.
me it's about those mid-pack battles. So this could showcase that.
And with the schedule, I think it should be. Then that gives you Richmond, Michigan, Indy, and Daytona as your 4-week build-up before the playoffs.
Exactly.
So it still gives you enough time then
Right.
to get back to the playoff storylines a little more and focus that. But I think starting it at Dover, I don't know if that really. The schedule that we're gonna operate off of for fun is Dover, Kansas, Darlington, Charlotte, Illinois.
Yeah.
And that I think moving it back a little bit would be better, but I'm open for suggestions on that.
I don't know, but I do like that the Coke 600 is in it. It's a marquee race. It's a unique and different style race. It kind of tests your endurance. This is the endurance round type of thing. You know what I mean?
So one reason that I wanted to push it back and not have Charlotte is the Coca-Cola 600 doesn't need any extra. Like I think that's a big one, anyways.
It
Yes and
does
no.
it doesn't.
I feel like it's a long race.
It's very long.
Sometimes
I've
it
been to
can
a
get
few of them.
dragged out.
It's
Maybe that would be the perfect opportunity to, all right, well, this would have been great when Truex led almost every
I
lap
think it
of
was
that
like
race
380 laps of
of
400.
400.
Yeah.
This would be all right. Well, Truex is running away with it, but man, have we got
Yeah,
a battle
just let him
between
be.
the
15 car and the 11.
yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
I would say I would almost want it to start at the. I don't really care. I know that TV ratings are important. I don't really care about the NBA playoffs. They happen all week long. We have one day. I think NASCAR fans are going to watch it on Sundays. So I hear the point of trying to get away from that, but the best racetracks, in my opinion, are going to be around that. Like I want to have a fast oval. I want to have a short track. I want to have a road course.
Right.
And
You need some variety.
and I can't shoehorn another Daytona or Talladega in there, but if I could change it up, I would.
Mhm.
I think it needs to be all of those types of courses. But I Dover, Kansas, Darlington, Charlotte, and Gateway. I mean, those are good tracks.
Not bad.
Yeah, I could pick worse tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure.
So you want to move forward
Let's do
to
it.
our.
So should we look at some interesting matchups in the first round? And for you guys watching on the YouTube live, go to Dirty Mo Media's Twitter account, and we have posted a picture of the full bracket that you can follow along.
Yes, please
with
go
us.
there. And
But
fill yours out.
Yeah, fill yours out. Send us your completed bracket. I completed mine,
Some
and we'll
people
talk
already
about
have
that
it.
in a bit. But round one has some interesting matchups for this weekend at Dover. Suarez
You wanna
versus
just
Buscher.
start at the top and make our way through.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that
Okay.
I'm gonna get confused if you're talking. I'm gonna be all looking forward. I'm gonna be like.
And we'll
the
just
I'm
go
gonna
through
be like
the quick
the old
ones.
man. I'm gonna spend 5 minutes just trying to find them.
All right, so let's run through all the matchups real quick.
Yep.
I'm going to go through 32 names here. The 1 seed Bell versus Gregson. Suarez versus Buscher, that's 16 and 17. Bowman versus Almirola. Jones versus Blaney. Kyle Busch versus Ryan Preece. Bubba Wallace versus Keselowski. Stenhouse versus Ty Gibbs. Austin Dillon versus Larson. Harvick versus Burton. McDowell versus Byron. Logano versus Gilliland. Allmendinger versus Reddick. Truex versus Haley.
You still going?
LaJoy, Hamlin. Briscoe, Cindric. and Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain.
Dude, I wasn't. So I was not listening 1 second of that.
You wanted me to run down the
I
list,
know.
so I did.
No. I wanted you to start at the top, and we'll just.
Well, he laid it all out. So
I didn't
now,
want you to.
now let's lay out.
But did you mention Bowman?
He did. No.
Oh
Bowman
yeah, so Bowman, being out.
Unfortunate news if you haven't heard.
has
So I
a
think for
fractured
this,
vertebrae.
for the sake of this, we would have Almirola automatically advance.
Yeah. So first of all, if
for
you're not,
simplicity
if you
purposes.
aren't aware, he was in a racing accident last night.
Sprint cars.
Sprint car.
Yeah, man.
Fractured vertebrae out. I think 4 to 5 weeks. Josh Berry's now going to jump in that car, and so for the sake of this, we're just going to advance Almirola. Though I think if this was a real bracket, potentially you would move everybody gets seated up 1 spot, and the 33rd driver. Would
We'll
make
have
it.
to clear it with Commissioner Hamlin.
Yeah,
but
Commissioner Hamlin
yeah.
will
Yeah.
make the final
Yeah.
call.
So I think interesting matchups to look at. I think Suarez versus Buscher's interesting.
That's yep.
Jones versus Blaney at Dover.
Yep.
I feel like could go either way.
Yep.
Bubba versus Keselowski. I circled Logano versus Gilliland for 2 reasons. You said that he upset
Last
Joey
year, he
Logano
would've.
last year, and Todd Gilliland has been stringing together some fantastic runs the last couple of weeks. Maybe doesn't have all the results to show for it, but he was running in the top 10, top 15 in Martinsville, lost a cylinder, but had a top 10 car. He's had good runs. I think that could be an upset that we see this year.
Definitely. I'll go ahead and
So-
shout out the ones that I think are pretty much locks.
Well, why don't we just go work our way through?
Okay.
Starting
Do you
at the
want to
top.
go
So
quick? I'll give you the matchup. Just
yeah.
one word
say it to
answers.
us.
Who
Yeah.
advances? All right, let's start at the top. Bell, Gregson.
Christopher Bell,
Gregson drives
That's way more than one.
the Wendy's car.
he drives the Wendy's car, and I'm picking off of paint schemes, things
Oh,
like that.
jeez. Okay.
This
And
guy.
have you ever had a junior bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's
I
at 2 in
have.
the morning? It,
I've
adva-
not.
it
I've
advances.
had him any other time.
Upset.
Okay, so
Mark it
Gregson.
down. Noah upsets the 1
Noah.
seed.
All right, I have Bell. Suarez, Buscher.
I got Buscher.
Suarez drives the Tootsie's car.
Oh, man.
You're going to Nashville.
I'm gonna go to Tootsie's.
Tootsie's Orchid.
I'm gonna go to Tootsie's.
Market. Suarez.
I have
moving on.
Suarez.
Okay.
So Almirola advances.
Fueled
in
by
the-
bacon.
in
I
the
did look-
Bowman Almirola,
I
but
did
I
look
did
at-
have Bowman originally.
I did look at the last 2 results, last 2 Dovers, and Buscher finished ahead of Suarez in both of them, I believe. So
Interesting. I just feel like those Trackhouse cars have something.
they've
for
got
us.
something going, but yeah,
But I might contradict myself here in a little bit. Jones versus Blaney.
this was hard.
I agree.
Do you want to give your?
Yeah. So
Are you
have you
using
ever?
Menards or
So
Oh my god.
you ever been hungover before?
Yes.
Body armor.
Sorry, Mom.
Body
Sorry, Dad.
armor is very helpful in getting over a
So
hangover.
Blaney.
It's also good as a mixer for drinks the night, but when you're getting drunk. So Ryan Blaney, advance
Okay.
him.
I have Eric Jones.
Obviously, you weren't in the Air Force or Allegiant. Have you ever flown Allegiant?
Or are you a Guns N' Roses fan?
Yeah.
No, I don't fly. No, I don't fly them.
Anyways, I picked Blaney here. A tough one. I think Eric Jones has.
I
a
think that's the
chance,
upset we'll see. Is Eric Jones.
But Blaney finished well last year or the year before, and so I'm gonna pick him.
All right. Kyle Busch versus Ryan Preece.
I think this is another tough one.
This is
Interesting.
this might be one of the toughest ones. I agree.
Really?
for
You
you.
go. You go first.
Okay, so Ryan Preece has had he's had a decent season, I would say. He's come in and didn't race last year, right in the Cup Series, and now he's here. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, he was all but up at the top of the mix in Talladega and a few other places.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm taking Rowdy. He's just hot right now. The guy just can't lose. I don't know. So I wanted to be like, he's gonna have a little bit of a hangover, but no, I'm taking Rowdy.
This is tough. Cheddars versus Hunt Brothers.
Yeah.
Man,
Hunt Brothers.
No,
I'd probably go.
I'm gonna go Cheddars. I'm going with Kyle. Yeah,
yeah, okay.
I went with Kyle Busch
such a
as
tough
well.
one.
Bubba Wallace versus Brad Keselowski. That's tough, I feel like.
Hey, that's a DBC matchup.
It
It's
is.
the battle of Freddie and TJ. So
So who do we like more?
I love
no,
you both
we're not,
equally.
We can't pick
Yeah.
favorites.
Well, you
Um,
already told me that your favorite host on DBC is.
Josh Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is Josh Williams. Yeah. What were you expecting me to answer you
No,
there?
I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Sometimes I'm very lazy. DoorDash comes through in the clutch, and MJ.
It's Bubba Wallace.
Go on, Bubba.
And
I have
McDonald's.
Bubba as well.
And Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I mean, like it's got
Yeah.
everything. Dr. Pepper and whiskey, very
So
delicious. by the
who do
way.
you have, Dalton?
I'm taking Bubba.
Bubba.
Yeah.
I have Bubba as well. Stenhouse versus Ty Gibbs. This is hard, I feel like.
I
Ty's been putting together some pretty decent runs.
Ty's been doing well.
And
I don't.
Ricky's
20th in
But
points.
Ricky's had an all-time year for him. I mean, obviously winning the Daytona 500, but he's gotten a lot of top tens recently.
Yeah.
So even road courses, everything. Which I mean, but I'll take Ricky.
I'm gonna go with Ricky too. I'm a big fan of Kroger grocery stores.
Okay.
Back in Ohio, they have them everywhere. In college, it's a good one.
Man, you really are committing to the mascot bracket here.
definitely.
Yeah, it's the mascot bracket.
All right, I've got Stenhouse as well. Austin Dillon versus the number 4 seed Kyle Larson
I'm sorry.
at Dover.
I'm
Kyle
sorry,
Larson.
Austin Dillon. Yeah, it's Kyle Larson all day.
However, Travis, who doesn't use Hendrick cars, might be going with Austin
Yeah,
Dillon.
I
here.
drive a Kia.
Yeah.
Should I call Mike
you like
Davis?
Bass Pro?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bass Pro.
Bass Pro shocks.
Pyramid. Let's go.
All right. Kevin Harvick versus Harrison Burton is the next one.
I mean, do we even need to discuss this one?
Taking the kid, man.
Taking
Whoa.
Harrison
no,
Burton.
No,
Explain it.
his nickname, Kevin.
Oh,
Harvick.
Kevin
Oh.
Harvick kid. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
no, I mean, no disrespect to Harrison Burton, but I mean,
I think
Kevin,
Harvick's got
Kevin
this one.
Harvick's
But
first
I
one
mean,
in the bag.
speaking of last weekend though, Harrison Burton up there was looking good.
He's good. He's a good plate racer, or whatever it is now. It's not because they technically don't have
Super
a
Speedway.
super speedway racer. But I'm sorry, I'll take the old goat.
All right.
I
William
mean,
Byron, Michael McDowell.
hold on a second.
Oh. Shoot.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we know this.
You
one.
said it was
This
clear
is
answer.
easy.
Go ahead.
I can tell you, it's Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
William Byron versus Michael McDowell. Again, I feel like if we're talking about Dover, the
Can't-
Hendrick cars.
You can't bet against the
Freaking
Hendrick cars.
good,
Speaking
dude.
of Hendrick cars at Dover, Jimmy Johnson's qualifying lap spins down the front strip. Jeff Gordon cheering in the pits. That's one of the greatest memories at Dover, in my opinion.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going with William Byron.
Taking
So
Byron.
I was gonna go with McDowell because he drives the Loves car, and when you're on a road trip, you need the gas. But I feel like I can't. He had the big upsets last year. I don't see him making another run. Cinderella doesn't wear the slipper both years, back-to-back years. So I'm gonna go a little off here and
Byron.
Byron.
All right.
And enroll at Liberty University.
I might contradict your statement there. Joey Logano, Todd Gilliland. And I will say, I think this is the upset we're going to see again. I think Todd Gilliland finds a way to beat Joey Logano this week.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like Gilliland has been pulling his weight, maybe outrunning the equipment at front row. And I just feel like this is going to be one of those weeks where he finishes ahead of Joey. I mean, he upset him last year. Why can't he do it again? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I like Todd. He's a nice guy, but I'm sorry.
Joey Logano.
Yeah, I'm taking Joey. He just is always around. And
Yeah.
just like DH said on his podcast a couple weeks ago, why is no one talking about how consistent he is? He's had a little bit of a rough patch last few weeks, but he is a damn good race car driver.
Yeah.
And he just has that experience over Todd. So I think if you put, push comes to shove tournament format, Joey's heat seeker missile for the 38, and he's going to, I don't care if he puts him in the wall, he's going to finish in front
That's
of him.
another thing. That's
Like,
See, that's the other
literally.
thing. Like, think about this. Joey fighting to not go a lap down last week. Doesn't go high, doesn't go low. Stays in the middle of the track.
Go around me.
Creates chaos. But in that,
He was like
by
Moses.
doing that, though,
Just-
he stayed in front of Briscoe and didn't go a lap down and went to the back. So, like, he's just that driver that he's
Yep.
not going to mess around. And I'm going to go with Joey, too.
Joey
Joey.
Logano. Let's see, where are we next? Reddick
The
versus
dinger.
AJ Allmendinger.
the
I have
dinger.
Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, I got Tyler. Tyler's so good around these short tracks.
There's a monster beast over there. I think it's going to be my next drink in honor of
Tyler
Tyler. So,
Reddick?
Yeah?
yeah, I'm going to go with Tyler.
Martin
when you
Truex
want it, I'll grab it
Jr.
for you.
Martin Truex Jr. versus Justin Haley. 7 seed versus 26. I'm going with the 7 seed Martin Truex Jr. in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Truex. My grandfather's a big Truex fan, and cheer for him every week. And I think he's going to start getting hot. I love Justin Haley, but I'm taking Truex.
All right.
I'm going to go with the old Celsius.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't do 2 Bass Pros. Only do one.
Yeah. What happens when you get a Bass Pro in the final?
You get a Bass Pro Club card. That's what you do.
Hey guys, real quick, just remind everyone where they can get a copy of this bracket again.
It is
Oh, yeah.
on Twitter and Facebook.
At Dirty Mo Media.
At Dirty Mo Media.
Yeah. Go check it out. I
It
printed
looks like
one out.
this.
Yeah.
You wanna take a
It's
look
pretty
at it?
good. It's nice and printable. And send us your send us like a receipt almost of you filling it out
Yep.
before Dover,
Well,
and we will continue to monitor this.
All they do if they tweet it, that is the receipt.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Tweet it,
Yeah.
tweet it at us.
fill it out, tweet it.
Let's fill it out. Let's get a time and date on that tweet. And
that was the other thing that DH had an idea. So with the NCAA tournament, Warren Buffett's done this a lot. He's offered X amount of money if someone has a perfect bracket, which he then goes and gets it insured and is able to sponsor it. And no one has ever done it. But DH said you could have that idea, same thing, where if someone has a perfect bracket, the winner, whoever has a perfect bracket, could get X amount of money.
Yeah,
also.
Absolutely. Or money or a trip to
tickets to Talladega.
Daytona, or you get to go to the end of the year banquet.
Or honestly, that could be
something.
for the person who has the most accurate bracket.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
and
no,
then
I
a
want
perfect
I want a
bracket.
perfect bracket.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's almost as impossible as.
It's not nearly just because the less
I know it's
picks,
half, but
it's still so because of the unpredictability of Rex.
yeah.
yeah.
I think
Again, and there's plenty of unpredictability here. Like someone's going to have an unscheduled bad day, and that's going to throw everything off. So the odds of this being perfect are like any other, 32 team bracket, which is interesting. What's our next matchup? Corey LaJoie versus Denny Hamlin. That's an interesting matchup. The two guys who have admitted to getting into someone on a podcast are facing off against each other
They are
in the first
on
round.
the thumbnail of this video for
Yep.
a reason,
Yep.
because I think it would be close. Corey's done a lot with his car this year. I think he did a lot last year. He's making the most out of a situation where he's not racing for a team like Hendrick or Joe Gibbs or Stuart Haas. But Denny races for one of those teams, and I think he's just better around short tracks. I'm gonna take Denny for sure.
what he said. Plus, Denny said that he got hot at Martinsville, cooled off at Talladega, lukewarm right now, but about to get hot again. He promised his fans that he was going to get white hot and go on a run. Not only does he beat Corey LaJoie, he beats everybody at Dover.
Oh, Denny Hamlin goes for the win.
You're calling DH's shot.
Yeah, I've called it a shot every week though. For the record.
Okay, yeah.
One of
these
times
times it's gonna hit.
Listen,
Yeah,
one of
it's
these
gonna
days
hit
it's
one
gonna
of
be
these
right,
days.
and it's gonna be a fun
They're gonna
podcast.
call my number.
All right, we've got two more matchups: Briscoe versus Cindric, which I think is one of the toughest
Yeah.
head-to-head matchups in the first round. I mean, we've got
Why?
the 60 car Xfinity car from a few years ago. Those
the
drivers are
98
matching
and
up,
the
or was it
22.
98 and the 22?
22.
Yeah. I just feel like these guys are very evenly matched, evenly skilled. But
In similar equipment.
in similar equipment, I have Chase Briscoe advancing.
I have Chase Briscoe as well.
I feel like I have not heard much out of Austin Cindric this year.
just hasn't. Something about his year. I don't know.
Yeah.
He just hasn't put it together. It's not nothing against him. I'm not saying it's anything of his doing, but I just think I've seen Chase Briscoe up at the front more than I've seen Austin Cindric.
So I once had a flat tire driving home,
Where are you going? I have to think of like where he's going with this
Yeah.
whenever he does
and
this.
luckily, a mile down the road was a Discount Tires.
All right.
Got
You
a
don't-
full-size tire put on the car.
That is nice. That is
Able to
convenient.
finish the trip. Didn't
Austin
lose much
Cindric.
time. So Austin Cindric. Let's
You-
go.
So you're
You
not
don't-
gonna
you don't
buy
have
him a
tractors.
Hintra.
Yeah.
Hintra tractor.
I mean,
Yeah.
no. Like,
Okay.
do I look like someone that's on the farm?
You don't want to answer that.
All right, time for the last matchup, and possibly the most difficult head-to-head matchup in the entire bracket. The 31 seed,
See,
Chase Elliott,
And this is the fun
facing off
thing-
against number 2 Ross Chastain.
This is the fun thing again about penalties and
Yeah.
and I say you leave it the way it is. Don't be like, oh well, he would have so many points. No, leave it the way it
This
is.
is how it goes. This is
And-
unfortunate for
and-
Ross.
Chase won last year at Dover.
Yeah.
And so
But Ross Chastain finished 3rd and led more laps than Chase in
and
that race.
if there's a guy, not that he needs it, not that he's not doing well, but if there's a guy, if $3 million is on the line, would put you in the wall to get that $3 million, it is Ross Chastain. So I am gonna go with Chase Elliott. I think you just can't bet
Ah.
against the Hendrick cars, man.
I agree.
They are stout.
I had written Ross Chastain, crossed it out because I had that exact same thought. Can't go against the Hendrick cars. I know Chase is just getting back from his injury. I still think they're going to be very good at Dover this week. Give me Chase Elliott the 31 seed, upsetting
31, yeah.
Ross Chastain in the first round. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with Chase too.
You're a Napa guy.
No, I'm not a Napa. I like his alternative. His other paint schemes that he's
What's
had.
the other? What?
It's sometimes a dark color.
It's
It's a restaurant with amazing chicken wings.
Oh, that's it.
You're a Hooters fan.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Chase.
Awesome.
And I've actually I've
Unbelievable.
had the honor of meeting Chase a couple times. So
yeah,
I like the guy.
Very
Chase is
good.
a nice guy.
Interesting. All right. Well, I want y'all to send us your brackets at home. I filled mine out. I will reply to the Dirty Mo Media tweet so everyone can see my completed bracket. Some interesting tidbits that I will share about it. Eric Jones makes it to the Final Four.
Okay.
Out of mine.
Who else you got in your Final Four?
So it's Christopher Bell, Eric Jones, William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Larson and Truex face off. Kyle Larson wins my bracket.
That's not a bad way to end up. I haven't filled mine all the way out yet, but I will, and I will do the same thing. I'll reply to the tweet and put my submission there. Travis, you can do the same.
Denny Hamlin wins.
Denny Hamlin wins
Denny
the whole
Hamlin
thing.
wins the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah, the guy to do it, the guy to introduce it. Might as well win your own tournament,
I mean,
right?
can you imagine walk off wins his own tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
James,
Rick.
I'm sure the YouTube chat is commenting about our head-to-head matchups. Any interesting ones? No, nothing.
He just did one
Everyone
of these.
agrees with us.
He said, "You guys are so smart."
Can we discuss something quickly that
Sure.
was on the download
Yeah.
on Tuesday?
Yep.
A1 steak sauce.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'll let you take.
I
the lead on this
tweeted I put A1 steak sauce on my steaks too. And then I turned 12. Like A1 steak sauce is good. But it doesn't help a great steak. If you're at a lower establishment, I'm not going to name the restaurants, but if you're there, I get it. But if you're at a good steakhouse,
The steak should speak
what are
for
we doing?
itself.
Like a good wing does not need to be dipped in ranch or blue cheese.
That's where we disagree.
Oh, I disagree there.
No.
Yes.
It does it does
Definitely.
not.
It just enhances
It does not.
Yeah.
No.
See,
I
that's
agree
where
with
your
Dalton.
argument changes from. Like, I don't put A1 on my steaks. I used to
So would you eat a bratwurst or a hot dog plain?
without mustard.
No, I don't like
Without
mustard. I think
condiments?
It's trash. I would put
I didn't like mustard, and then I turned 12.
Oh!
I would put listen, ketchup on hot dog, or like if you want to get crazy, like some barbecue sauce on a hot dog.
Yeah, I bet that's.
Put
I
some,
can
like,
agree with that.
put some
I do
pepper-
barbecue sauce
Pepper jack
and
cheese on
bratwurst.
it too. Like
like a Southern style dog. I like that.
I don't know. This
So
other
I guess
stuff.
I'm
are
just
you
saying,
getting
like,
at
it's
are
like-
there juvenile condiments out there?
So I understand why people think ketchup
I
is
can't believe
one.
we're having this conversation.
I don't think ketchup is one, but I understand that there's elevated condiments that can top ketchup. And
Yeah.
it's a condiment that kids typically like, so I can understand that. And so I just think that I hope he's not listening, but Dilly, you can do better.
Oh man.
Here's what. Okay,
And I don't even want to I want to side with him. I like going against Mike.
I understand Dale having affinity for a sauce and wanting to put it on a food that he likes. I'll dip my French fries in ranch. I'll dip my tater tots in ranch. I don't have to have ranch with everything, but I like the taste of ranch. If I eat fries without ranch or ketchup or whatever, any sauce, but I just use ranch as an example. Or if I go to Chick-fil-A or if I go to Bojangles and I'm dipping something in there, I am missing that. However, when it comes to steak, I just think that a good steak doesn't need anything on it.
I think it's fair.
And I brought up this analogy yesterday of like a good steak is to A1 like bourbon is to Coke. And so like if you need Travis is making a move here maybe for the beast.
He might go support Tyler Reddick
Oh.
here.
And but bourbon by itself, like people love bourbon. They're like a good bourbon doesn't need anything. Doesn't even need ice, right? A good steak doesn't need anything. But Coke tastes pretty good. I still like bourbon and Coke, but
Yeah.
a good bourbon doesn't need.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, and I'm about to shield myself after I say this from you and the listeners.
Throw this at you.
What happens if you put Coke and ice in blends? Because I've done that recently.
I can't even look at you. I can't. That's just.
I wish I was cool enough and tough enough to drink it straight. I just can't.
Yeah.
So
No. Okay. Anyways, no,
Hey,
you can't put it in Bland's.
Yeah.
Wesley Riddle has chimed in. He's got Bell, Bush, Reddick, and Hamlin in his final four.
Oh, all right.
He's
Bush.
got Bush taking it over
Bell,
Reddick
Bush,
in the
Reddick, and Hamlin.
finals.
All. No, not all. 12.
Wow. Interesting.
JFB,
Battle of
man.
each other's cars.
that's what was that? Is that? Say those four again.
So it was
Bell,
Bush, Byron Reddick,
Reddick and Hamlin.
Reddick and Hamlin.
Yeah.
So a lot of Toyotas there.
A lot of Toyotas and one Chevy.
Interesting. See, like, I love how there's different variations of the bracket that you can go.
Well, so and here's the thing that Jared, Denny's co-host, brought up is the strategy. How would you attack this, especially if you're a driver that hasn't won a race? Would you, sometimes people stay out to get stage points.
Yep.
How do you attack this? Do you try to win your matchup, or are you focused solely on the race?
I feel like this is something, honestly, that drivers won't too closely pay attention to during the race. It won't come up in the crew chief meeting unless you're down to the final 5 laps and the guy you need to beat is in front of you. You might work a little harder. That's how I think it comes.
Denny said he would give up some, like, to beat that person. He'd want to beat that person. He'd lose some spots. But I also think, for the most part, your strategy is to beat the person is gonna match up with trying to finish high in the race.
It's like Dash for Cash. You're still racing because, again, ultimately, the best strategy to beat whoever is it. The best strategy to beat whoever you're trying to, overtake in the head-to-head battle is to win the race. There's no better way to beat somebody else than winning the whole freaking thing.
Right.
And I feel like it would be the same strategy that these Dash for Cash teams go after as well. The best way to win $100,000 is to win the race too.
Just because of this drink, whatever Reddick I was going to have him go, he's going even
going
further.
all the way.
Not all the way, but
Okay.
Does it taste like a Monster?
It tastes just. I was just gonna say that's the dangerous part. It tastes just like
Does it
it.
have caffeine in it? No.
It tastes
I don't think so.
just like it.
A little dangerous. isn't
Yeah,
it?
wild.
A little wild.
Raccoon in a cage.
All right, closing thoughts here on this Dirty Mo Live. We've got a good bracket challenge. I'd love to see this implemented publicly.
So speaking to what you just said, where the drivers aren't even really gonna, they're just gonna drive as if it's normal race. That's the best part about this is, outside of marketing, NASCAR doesn't have to do anything.
Nothing really changes.
They can go get a sponsor. The sponsor will handle the payout and everything. They market it. Nothing changes. The races don't change. Like it's the easiest plug and play thing. And especially right now, while they're trying to figure out the tires and the horsepower and those things, you plug this thing in, and all of a sudden, even if the races are kind of boring, you have those cars that are right next to each other that then they might race a little harder, and it might change things up and make it a little more exciting.
It just makes it better for the viewer. It doesn't and that's what they want. That's what we want is a better experience for the viewer. So, no, I love it. I think, and we are going to be keeping up with this as it goes on all the way through Gateway.
Yeah, we'll break down the matchups next week.
We won't spend as much time as we did on it, but I think we're definitely going to bring it up.
We'll track our progress.
And we will track our progress, and we will track
y'all's. We might even go through, like we did this week, let's go through the quick matchups.
Right.
And this could be a fun thing to track through Gateway. Absolutely.
Denny can just pay us the $3 million or whatever it is.
I'll have him give it to me, and then you don't get any of it.
That's fine. It's fine.
We've got an action-packed week of shows as usual. Go listen to Door Bumper Clear, recorded on Monday. It was an entertaining show. Actions Detrimental. Go ahead. Can you?
2 minutes on this show. So you guys pick drivers each week.
Yeah.
On Door Bumper Clear.
Yep.
Brett picked Alex Bowman.
Yep.
Alex Bowman unfortunately got injured, cannot race. Casey and you are trying to say that that's his pick. He's stuck.
Yeah, because other people, like Casey picked Josh Berry when Chase Elliott returned. Well, she's out of luck.
Well,
she
why wasn't she allowed to change her pick? Bets are not final until the driver gets in the car.
I think that's just the rules that have been established.
Show me where these rules are written.
I don't know. I need to write all of them down somewhere.
I don't know.
I'm
you go take this flight to DBC on Monday.
I probably won't be. Well, it depends. If we tape Sunday night, then I might go in there. Well, it'd be too late. I need it changed before the race.
I don't know, man.
I'm protesting on behalf of spotter Brett Griffin.
I think I don't know. Based on precedent, unfortunately, Brett doesn't get a new pick for this week. He will just pick first the next time.
This is
Does it
ridiculous.
get Bowman back, though?
It's like when Brett picked Joey Logano twice, 2 weeks in a row. Well, he doesn't get a new pick. That's his fault for not paying attention and picking Joey Logano.
That's
so he
one
got
thing.
he got
one
DQ'd.
thing. That's fine. But this is different.
But does he get Bowman again?
That's a good question.
When Bowman comes
that
back?
will have to be discussed.
I need to see a rule book.
I think it
but
needs
he
to be
does not get a new
a
pick this
panel
week.
vote. We need to put it all up to
Yeah.
Dirty Mo Media.
We
and
will
I blame the
evaluate.
producer.
Yays and nays.
I blame the producer too.
Guys,
Man.
let's settle down, all right? Take this
I
off
was just
social.
blaming myself.
No,
The energy.
All right, yeah. So before Travis interrupted me, Door Bumper Clear. Go listen to that.
Yep.
Actions Detrimental recorded, like we mentioned at the beginning of the show. Very informative show. The Dale Jr. Download Dirty Aaron Ash Jr. show came out yesterday. I believe the guest interview has been
It's
posted.
posted.
It's posted. Yep, Tony Stewart.
I have not heard that
That's one
conversation
that
yet,
that's one I'm
but I
pumped
can't
about.
wait. I'm excited for
Smoke
that.
is one of my favorite drivers, so
Yes.
it's really cool to
And
see
then
him.
The
Dirty Mo
DJ
Doe.
D Thursday show. I think we have a few people dropping in the studio
Yeah,
tomorrow.
they talked about Steve and Amy. Maybe
All
coming
right.
by, so we'll see.
Yeah,
And
that'll
then,
be cool.
Dirty Mo Doe.
Dirty Mo Doe,
Mo Doe.
Speed
Tomorrow morning.
Street.
Speed Street.
They have
Uh,
an active F1 driver, correct? Is it this week or next
no,
week?
he's a prospective active.
I thought I saw a
Good
tweet
question.
that
I know it's coming up.
It's-
I'll have to double
it's,
check with Ben Walton, our producer,
Yeah.
on Speed Street regarding that.
Stay tuned on that.
But yeah, we've got a full lineup of shows this week. It's going to be exciting. Going to Dover. Send us your brackets. We will discuss them next week, especially if you get some interesting upsets right. We will make sure to mention you on the show. So I think that's it for today's Dirty Mo Live. How about that?
That's a wrap. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
Awesome. See you guys.
Adios.